Hey, mama friends. Welcome back to another awesome episode of the Mama Work It podcast. As always, I am so excited and happy and grateful that you're here and listening and joining me today. Good topic today, you guys. Really good topic. And that is sleep. Sleep. I don't know about you, but when I became a mom, I feel like sleep went from being kind of important to being like super important because it was like this coveted thing that no matter what I did, I couldn't seem to get enough of. So today we're going to be talking about 7 ways, 7 practical things that you can do to get more sleep as a working mom without massive overhaul in your life. Don't worry. These are simple, quick, easy tips, tricks that I have personally used, clients that I work with have used, and hopefully they are going to help you get more sleep, better sleep without guilt, perfection, or just really unrealistic routines that the season you're in just does not allow for. So let's get started by just acknowledging the fact that a lot of us in this season of life are freaking exhausted. We're exhausted. Now, whether you are pregnant and maybe you're waking up to pee more often than you'd like, so that's interrupting your sleep. Maybe you've got a newborn at home who is eating throughout the night. Maybe you are in the 4-month sleep regression or some other type of sleep regression in your baby or toddler's life. Maybe it is cold and flu season as you are listening to this and it feels like somebody is always sick in your house and waking up. Maybe this is more about just you and feeling anxious or stressed and thoughts keeping you up at night. Or recently, what I've been experiencing is even though I feel great all day long, I mean, most days, right? We all have our days, but like I get these like stress dreams at night that wake me up or keep me up. So I want to just acknowledge the fact that like if you are tired, if you are exhausted, you are not alone. A lot of us are feeling this way. It is very common, very normal for most likely the season you're in. So I want to set the expectation. This is about more sleep. It's about better quality sleep, but it's not going to be about perfect sleep, right? Perfection doesn't even exist. So we are going to talk about how to increase our quality and quantity of sleep today via these 7 tips. So if you are a working mom listening to this and you are feeling any form of tired, this episode is for you. So let's dive into our 7 practical sleep shifts, as I will refer to them today. And I'm going to run through these. You know how I like to give action steps and tips and tricks. And if you are able to, you want to jot some things down, please feel free. If it is not safe for you to do so, like you're driving or you're running or you're doing something else, because I know a lot of times we're doing lots of other things while listening to podcasts. At least I know I am. That's okay. You can always come back and listen again. Obviously, take what works for you, leave what doesn't. I just want to equip you with a toolkit of what can help you hopefully get better or more or both sleep. So first thing I want to share is about a sleep schedule. So I want you to actually create a sleep schedule. Like you have this for your kids, most likely, but you probably don't have it for yourself. So what does that look like? It looks like setting a bedtime. I know you're a grown-ass woman. That's okay. You can still have a bedtime. And I want you to do this by either setting a reminder on your phone, like time for sleep, announcing it to people in your house, like literally let everyone know, hey, my bedtime is this time. So everyone's aware, everyone's in the loop. Maybe write it down. I mean, ideally, you want this bedtime to be 8 hours before wake up time. So calculate it that way, but write it down, maybe put a little post-it like on the mirror in your bathroom or someplace where you'll see it all the time. But set a bedtime for yourself, create a schedule. Now, just like you would set a bedtime, you're also going to set a wake up time. You're probably already doing this via an alarm, right? But I want you to think about the time that your alarm goes off and the time that you actually wake up. Are they the same? Or are you doing lots of snoozing in the morning? If that is you, and trust me, I have been in that season, and sometimes I even creep back into that season, try to change that in the sense of set the alarm at the time that you're actually going to wake up. So there is no room for snoozing there. And again, announce it. Tell people in your house about this. Tell your partner, tell your friends, even tell like people outside your house, because you are way more accountable to stick to something that you say you're going to do if you bring other people in, these kind of like unofficial accountability partners. So that is tip number one. It is about creating a sleep schedule, a bedtime, a wake up time, and bringing in that accountability that goes hand in hand with that. All right. Tip number two about getting more sleep has to do with your phone. Your phone. You knew I was going there, right? You were like, when is she going to bring this up? I know the phone is such a culprit for me of going to bed later than I should. This is probably the same case for you. And also, I'm sure you've heard this before. Studies have shown that if you are looking at your phone or any type of screen right before bed, that blue light is messing with the quality of your sleep potentially. And so hard and fast rule here is like no phone right before bed. Okay. So maybe give yourself half hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever that looks like for you and feels right for you, but make a rule about that. And then, have your phone in a place where it's not physically tempting to just reach over and look at it, right? So like I know for me, if the phone is on my nightstand, I'm way more likely, even if I have the best intentions, I am way more likely to pick it up because I have to check one thing that pops into my head or one email or respond to that one message or whatever it is. And then I end up kind of keeping it there and opening up a social media app and doom scrolling or whatever it is. Or even in the morning, if the phone is right next to me when the alarm is going off, snoozing, right? So one thing that you can actually do to help with those habits that you might want to break is to keep your phone on the other side of the room, like charge it in a place where you actually have to physically get out of bed to turn off the alarm or physically get out of bed to pick it up and send that message or reply to that email. And you're not just conveniently reaching for it next to you, even though I know it is so convenient, but getting sucked into that doom scrolling and kind of looking at it, even though your rule says that you're not going to look at it. So make some phone adjustments is tip number two. Tip number three has to do with caffeine. All right. You want to decrease your caffeine and you want to increase your hydration. So I don't know if you know this about me, and this may shock you, but I am not a caffeine drinker. Well, I shouldn't say that. I drink caffeine, but I don't drink it daily. And it is something that I don't lean on to wake me up every morning. So do I enjoy like a yummy latte every now and then? Absolutely. Do I like a matcha or some fancy, caffeinated drink or even just like a nice cup of coffee sometimes? I do, but I don't have the habit of drinking caffeine daily. So I want you to think about, you don't have to go completely like off the rails like me and eliminate caffeine, but maybe limiting your caffeine or thinking about the timing of when you consume your caffeine. Like if you are someone who is reaching for an afternoon coffee, like a 3 p.m. latte or a 3 p.m. pick you up, maybe you want to replace that with something else that's going to give you energy at that time of day instead of coffee that could be messing with your sleep at night, believe it or not. So one tip I'll give you with that is, and I know you're going to think I'm crazy. But just listen, give it a try. Don't knock it till you try it. is replace your afternoon coffee with a movement break. I know you're like, that sounds really counterintuitive. Like, I'm exhausted. How can I possibly go, for a mile walk or, do a quick 15-minute like YouTube video or something like that. But believe it or not, if you lean into some movement, think about it. Like, it hypes you up. It almost like gives you this effect of more energy. At least for me, it does. And so maybe think about doing that. Like, keep your morning coffee, but maybe replace your afternoon coffee and replace it with some type of movement, like a power walk or a quick, video or something like that. The other thing I said here was decreasing caffeine, increasing hydration. I'm a big fan of hydration. I think hydration does wonders for your skin, for your health in general. And I honestly think it does something for your sleep too. Now, I'm not a medical doctor. I certainly don't have a scientific background, but I do think hydration is helpful in many parts of your life. And one hack that I do when it comes to hydration, because I find this very challenging to stay hydrated all the time, especially with just like regular water, because I find whenever I carry around a water bottle, it is inevitable that one of the 4 children here forget theirs or reach for mine or just, I don't know, just they like my water. I don't know what it is. It's regular water, you guys, but I don't want to drink it after that. There's like lots of kid germs on there. I don't know, backwash. Like, I don't want it. I don't want it anymore. So anyway, it makes me like chronically dehydrated. But a trick that I've been doing and leaning into, and I love like the added bonus of not just hydration, but also like the other elements this is giving me is I've been leaning into herb teas. And it's part of kind of like a nightly ritual for me. Is like a hot cup of herb tea. I know I sound like I'm 1,000 years old, but again, don't knock it till you try it. I love it. It's like fun flavors, different, herbs that maybe relax you or give you other benefits, health benefits. And personally, and I'm not like sponsoring or endorsing this company, but like I personally love a good yogi tea because they give you this little affirmation on the tea bag. And so I've created this ritual, like evening ritual that is hydration, affirmation or affirmation hydration. I don't know how I put it. I did some sort of hashtag for it and it stuck. But it's been a fun way to be part of kind of like my chill out routine at night. All right. Tip number 4 has to do with your like sleep environment. And so this tip is about creating a very zen sleep space. What does that look like? Well, what does zen look like to you? Is it, dimming the lights? Is it the right temperature in the room? Do you have a noise machine that you really like or just some calming music? Maybe there is like a scent in there, like some aromatherapy you want to lean into. So I know lavender, a lot of people lean into that, or like eucalyptus. I have a lavender spray and sometimes I will like spray my pillowcase with it before bed. And it's just like a really nice way to infuse the space. How is your bedding, your sheets? Are they comfy, cozy? Do you need to upgrade them? Do you need to replace them? Do you need a new pillow? Do you, want to check out some sort of like scented candle or diffuser for your space? Like all these things are options that can really create a very relaxing, welcoming, inviting Zen sleep space. I know when I had like babies at home and it felt like even though your bed is reserved for sleep, it felt like I was doing lots of other things. I was changing diapers on my bed. I was feeding babies in the middle of the night on my bed. I was, they were spitting up in my bed and it did not feel very zen. Like my nightstand was a hot mess with like lots of things I would just reach for and need. And it was very convenient, but it did not feel relaxing. And so what sort of like makeover do you need to give your bedroom, your bed, your bedding, all of that stuff? Think about that. All right. Tip number 5 is about calming your racing mind. And if this is something that keeps you up at night or interrupts your sleep, you are definitely going to want to hear this tip. So one thing that you've heard me talk about before are brain dumps. If you are having a hard time falling asleep, like you have lots of thoughts or lots of, like the ticking tape is just going and going and going in your mind and you can't seem to shut it off, get literally a pen and piece of paper, nothing fancy, and just dump everything that's in your brain onto that pad of paper. Like get it out of here and onto here. And what happens is that just really clears the clutter of things swirling around, floating around in your brain, and allows your mind to relax because you've been able to put it somewhere where it can live, it can remind you about it the next day, and it doesn't have to keep you up at night. Now, I'd be very silly if I didn't talk a little bit about the Word to Your Mama journal planner here because I created that book because it was hard often to go to sleep with all of these looming thoughts and endless to-do lists and just lots of stuff juggling as a working mom. And so the nightly ritual is you open up your Word to Your Mama journal planner, you reflect on that day, of course, and give yourself a pat on the back and see if there are any patterns or things you really want to dig into and explore. And then you also plan for the next day. And that's a great way to get things kind of out of the brain onto paper and know where you stand and just be able to chill out. Another quick tip that I know a friend used to do because these things would literally wake her up in the middle of the night. She would have like a stack of, like a Post-it thing on her night table and a pen. And so if like a thought woke her up or she thought of something as she was dozing off, she could just jot it down really quick and then clear her mind and go right back to sleep. So tip number 5, all about calming that racing mind. Tip number 6. Okay. So if you're not looking at your phone and maybe you're even taking it to the next level and like not watching TV before bed because you're like, no, I don't want any screens, any blue light before I go to sleep. What are you doing? Well, tip number 6, you could actually read a physical book. Read a physical book. When's the last time that you did this? This is gonna, in my opinion, it's gonna work your brain. And if your brain is already feeling tired, at least for me, it gets my brain more tired. Okay. There's just something different about when you're reading a physical book versus something on a screen. And I know some books you're going to argue with me like, oh, but then I get really into the book. It's hard to put down. But you guys, I'll be real with you. Like, even if the book is the best book ever, when I open a book, I am often so tired. Like, even if it's awesome, I just get this overwhelming calm in my mind, my body, myself. And as intriguing and captivating as the book is, it does have that relaxing energy that it brings into my body and my mind. And I am able, at least more easily, I think, to put the book down and have better sleep than to put the phone down or stop the Netflix show or whatever it is and have just as good sleep. So try and read a physical book, honestly. And if you need some recs, let me know. Okay, tip number 7, our last tip of the day has to do with meditation and binaural beats. Okay, so let's talk about this. I was introduced to binaural beats a few years ago when I was doing coaching certification, and someone in my class told me about it, and I guess I kind of knew what it was, but I didn't know the name of what it was. And so if you've ever been to kind of like a sound bath before, where they play the bowls and it just makes these like vibrations and beats and things like that, it's kind of like that, but like a recorded version and different beats for like that trigger different things. And so sometimes I really like to fall asleep to these binaural beats because it's sort of like a non-guided meditative experience. You could also lean into an actual guided sleep meditation, right? There's plenty of them out there. You could just put on some very soothing, calming music and have that in the background of your own internal meditation or prayer time or whatever that looks like for you. So I'll give you a couple apps that I have utilized before, and I've done these for myself, but also sometimes for my kids too, if they have trouble falling asleep. So one is the Medito app, and that was recommended to me actually by a guest on this show many moons ago. And I love it because it's like all these different sleep meditations, particularly. And, once it's done, it just shuts off and that's it, done. And the other one is the Brainwaves app. And that is where I access the binaural beats that I have been telling you about. So meditation, binaural beats, something to just kind of calm the nervous system, clear the mind, maybe guide you in deep breathing exercises or just guide you through some sort of visualization to really relax the mind and body for sleep. So I've given you 7 tips. Let's review them really, really quick here. We talked about creating a sleep schedule. We talked about putting some new and different rules in place with regards to your phone. We talked about caffeine and hydration, a Zen sleep space, calming the racing mind, reading a physical book, not a screen, and meditation and binaural beats. Which one of these feels doable this week for you? I want you to think about one thing you could implement if you are feeling tired, if you do feel like you need more or better sleep. Which one of these tips would work well for you? I want to remind you too, before we officially wrap up today's episode, like this season is not forever. So if you do have a newborn, if you do, if you are in a teething phase with your baby, if you are feeling extra stressed right now at work or just regarding, your living situation or your kids or financial or whatever it is, it's a season and it's going to pass and sleep is going to get better. But that doesn't mean we just need to lay down and be like, oh, I guess I just won't sleep till this is over. No, sleep is so important, and getting good and enough sleep is really helpful and necessary for part of your health, for how you show up as a mom, how you show up as a professional, as a spouse, a wife, a friend, all of those things. It starts with sleep. And so I encourage you to take even just one action step this week, one tip that you learned from today's episode. Or if you hated all these tips, that's okay. Find another tip, but do something to get more or better sleep if you are feeling tired. And if you know a tired mama friend who could probably benefit from this episode, please go ahead and share that with her so that she can listen and she can hopefully take one of those tips or more and get more sleep. So thank you for being here as always. I appreciate you. I am grateful for you. And I hope you get a great night's sleep tonight, Mama. Bye.